Good afternoon, and welcome to Pigskin Isn't Just for Cooking Football Podcast. This is your commish with the dish, Adam Bullock, here with Evan Forbes, Kissing Cousins. Good afternoon, sir. How you doing today?
I am fantastic. I'm glad to have you back, safe and sound, from your
Thank you.
trip in New Orleans.
It was a
you.
blast. I had a great time.
Nice.
But it's good to be back.
I bet.
Yeah.
Vacations are always, at the end of it, it's time to be home.
Mm-hmm. And I got a couple days to have a little staycation too.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's always nice.
Yeah, so
sometimes
just relax in your own element.
Yeah,
let alone
around your own stuff.
Yeah,
your own toilet.
Oh, it's true. Your own shower. Mm-hmm. Because we say it at a verbo, whatever that means. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sophie set all that stuff up.
Sure.
So, but no, it was a great time. Saw the Flaming Lips.
That's
best
awesome.
concert I've seen in a very long time.
Very cool.
How are you doing?
Good, man. Very good. I'll be honest. I spent a lot of the morning listening to who some in the league call the talking heads, the ESPN talking heads, if you will.
Yeah.
Talking a lot about football, and especially what happened last night on Thursday's game. Today is September the 30th. So last night we just had that Miami Bengals game, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So I'm ready to do my own talking. I've done a bunch of listening all morning about football. I'm ready to talk about it myself.
Well, let's get you started. We're going to go through today with our corrections from last week, news, our week 3 review, and into our picks for week 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but before we do all that, unfortunately, we have to start off with this.
Oops.
Oops?
Oops, like that's the best job you've ever done, oops, right?
Please tell me you did not just make a mistake.
Well, half of one.
So last week, this is definitely one of those half mistakes. I think I said Nick Chubb had the highest attempts and yards in running backs. He didn't have the highest in attempts. I was looking at a stat that included an extra Thursday game, the last Thursday Cleveland game. But now he is the leader in both yards and attempts for rushing. So
After week 3.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We're going to run into some simple stuff like that because we do the podcast after to recap the week previous, but after the first game of the current week.
It gets a little confusing.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about, the Cincinnati game and the Miami game from last week. That does not include this Thursday's game.
Right. Exactly. It's weird, but we get through it. But that was the only thing I had messed up on. So, I'll call it a win.
Yes, me too. Great win for us. On to the news. Let's start off with the one everything's thinking of. What everybody's talking about.
You scared the shit out of me.
Everybody's freaking out.
You're scared. My season is over. My season is over.
I wanted to throw a scare and terror bite in there because I think this is officially under a terrifying heading.
Tua.
Oh.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
It's tough. There's not much I want to say more than what everybody else is already saying. Mm-hmm. Something's gone wrong. Something is. As a league, we were talking about it even the last week. Like, there's no way this guy's coming back.
I was with Dan, and Dan has Tua on his team. And, it's like, I didn't see it because, we're not in that region. I'm not watching the game against the Bills. I just see he's out and then, possible head injury. Then I saw the replay of it, and I was like, oh. And I told Dan, I'm like, oh, he's not coming back. Like, he's just done for the day.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it works. On a head injury like that with concussion protocols that are in the league these days, like, his day is done. Don't expect him coming back. He got you 4 points. Be happy with it, right? Mm-hmm. But then he came back to the game. And then they said it's not a head injury. It's a back and ankle injury and blah, blah, blah. And again, I'm sure everyone listening to this has been listening to the hours of commentation on it already.
Right.
12 hours after, whatever he got back in town from the hospital and, traveling with the team back home. And yeah, you've seen, yeah, it's a bummer. It's sad.
Exactly. That's what I would say. It's a bummer.
It's hard to watch.
Especially for a young, promising player like Tua.
Right.
With a prolific offense they've had the past few weeks.
Right.
This could be the end for Miami for a little bit. Mm-hmm. We'll see. But I hope he's okay. From what we hear, he's fine. He's got his extremities working.
That's the important thing.
Absolutely. But we'll just keep following the story.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's not much more we can say that I'm sure everybody has already
Right,
listen
exactly.
to.
I would be basically parroting everything I heard this morning right back into another microphone, and it doesn't need to be done. But I think this is a good wake up call for a lot of people around the league, hopefully, and players too. It's like, hey, maybe we need to be a little bit more diligent in helping each other out when we think, hey man, that was a big shot. Maybe you shouldn't. Like,
Yeah,
who
and I was
cares
gonna
what the
bring that
medical
up.
trainers are saying? And like maybe player to player, let's think about
Like,
this.
hey, fella, they know what the
Right.
game is, and
Right.
they see that stuff, and just look out for each other. It's
Rough
a
stuff.
brotherhood out there.
Yeah.
It is. Another big injury this past week, Sterling Shepard. Season-ending ACL tear.
Yeah.
Daskell was freaking out a bit about that one.
That's a tough one, man. I mean, Sterling Shepard, he was the reason I feel like that team was doing what they were doing as well as they were doing it. And yeah, that's a bummer. I think that almost falls right in there with that terror, maybe just a scare section. For Daskell especially though, yeah, that's a hit.
Yeah. I know Saquon's he's come back this year, really helping out that team. I did read an article this morning that he did actually give a call to ODB. I
Really?
think maybe trying to get him back
Oh,
on the Giants after, Sterling Shepard with the tear and their other wide receiving core being kind of
Interesting.
banged up,
interesting. Huh.
Could be really fun to see that happen.
Yeah.
Just one thing. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
but
I might have to look it up when we're done.
Yeah. Should be pretty good. Let's go into, what do you want to do? Questionables and outs?
Yeah, let's do questionables. People that are might still play this upcoming Sunday. First on my list is Chris Godwin and Julio Jones. The bummer of that, of course, is they're on the same team.
Right.
So that's definitely a shot that's going to bring, I think, Tom Brady's stock down a little bit in the game, as well as the team in general. They are playing the Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to want to have both of those players in that game, if at all possible. So,
All the weapons you can get
yeah.
to face the Chiefs.
Yeah. I mean, you are playing at home, but still.
And they're coming off, the Chiefs are coming off a loss to Indy, which is a big hit for them.
Yeah.
But
that's
I
a
think
shot.
one of them will play, if
Okay.
not both.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a game time decision, which, the past few weeks they've known by Friday, being like, this guy's not playing.
Today's a big day for news and injuries. I mean,
Yes.
it's just from like 10 o'clock till, even now we're still getting updates on the phones. It's nonstop. People are trying to finalize rosters and injury reports and this and that. So yeah, it's something just got to keep an eye out and ear out for in the next couple of days.
Let's go into outs. Let's start with Detroit. Amon-Ra St. Brown out and Swift out.
Again, that's that's obviously even worse than questionables. 2 questionables on the same team, 2 outs on the same team. That's tough.
And the two main focal points of their offense
Tough.
out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going to see some other guys have to step up.
Yeah.
So hopefully TJ Hawkinson.
Hopefully for you.
Yes, for
TJ
me.
Hawkinson, yeah. That is a bummer about, Swift, because obviously Michael Melvin is probably leaning on him. Now, the good thing is he does have Jamal Williams. Yeah, Jamal
Yes.
Williams in the rafters waiting to go. So
He's got the
obviously,
handcuff. And it's a great handcuff to
yeah,
have.
just like you did, you've got your Montgomery Herbert situation. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, it's really good to see, as a football fan, I like seeing guys have good options like that. Even though I want him to lose when he plays me, I don't want him to have a terrible season.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's good for that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mile High had him. He's been doing some work, so that's probably a little bit of a hit. But I don't know if he was playing him. I don't know if he was in the starting lineup.
he
Was
has been playing him,
Okay.
and as he should have been.
Okay.
He has. Well, let's go to that. Quick congratulations to Mile High.
Yeah, we ready to do that?
Getting
Yeah.
well, just since you brought him up.
Oh, okay.
Getting the number 1 scorer in the league, second week or 2 weeks in a row.
2 in a row.
Yes, good for him. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is an integral part of that. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Then I guess moving on to better news, I guess. Andy Dalton is going to start, if that's good news for you. It's a bummer that Jameis Winston is out, obviously,
As well as Michael Thomas.
as well as Michael Thomas. But maybe that adds a little bit of stock. Again, and I want to say, I even told my wife this earlier because of all the talking heads I listen to. Even on here, I want to make sure I never want guys to get injured. right?
Absolutely.
I hate that. That's not what we're wishing for. But I am very aware that it happens, and it is good to have people, in line waiting to step up when it happens. And I think I can say somebody's stock might go up because of an injury without wishing an injury on somebody, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, we're not we're not doing any voodoo dances or anything to.
But again, Chris Olave's stock goes up a little bit because Michael Thomas is injured. It's a bummer for Michael Thomas, but as a Chris Olave owner, that's kind of, better news for you.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, maybe I'll start him out. I got a lot of tinkering to think about.
Oh, nice. You got
for
2 whole
this week.
days.
I do, but I don't want to take the 2 whole days to tinker.
Right. That's how you tinker.
There's just too much of it on the mind.
Right. That's how you tinker yourself into a loss.
Yes.
So, yeah, Andy Dalton is starting this week. I think that might be... Oh, and Michael Gallup is starting for the first time this year for the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Right? He's still on the Cowboys?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
They'll need him.
They need all the help they can get.
They just eked out a win, which we'll cover here in a little bit.
I think eke's the best word for that, yeah.
They did. It was eked out for sure. I thought I was getting that one. But other notable outs, Keenan Allen is now officially out. Mac Jones officially out, and David Montgomery officially out.
Oh yeah, those were just recently. That's right, like today we find these out. So
exactly.
Yeah, got some decisions to make, fellas, if that affects any of your teams.
Heck yeah. All right, right on to our week 3 review.
Yeah, the chunk of the podcast.
Hooah! All right, let's start off with New Orleans at Carolina, right?
They were at Carolina, yeah.
Yes. Let's see if I'm reading this right. Carolina winning 22-14. I was quite surprised with that.
Yeah, we both were. We both picked New Orleans for that game, I believe.
Yes, I think we're right. But great game overall. I really enjoyed it. It was fun to see Carolina really step up and take it to New Orleans. It was an attempt of a comeback from behind victory. I think they were held scoreless through 3 quarters, right?
Maybe, yeah. Again, I try to watch these highlight of the games, and sometimes I get confused with prior weeks and this and that. But that does sound right.
Let's see. Our top scorers are going to be here at wide receiver for the game. Chris Olave, 21.2 points with 9 out of 13 receptions, 147 yards, no touchdowns. He's yet to score a touchdown this year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Laviska Shenault, with 29 points, coming in with just 2 receptions, but in our boosted league points, when you get over 40-yard receptions and those go for touchdowns, you get bonus points. Big plays, you get bonus points.
Now, I had 2 questions with both of those players. My first note I have is Olave startable?
Yes.
And again, you were just briefly touched on that earlier. Is he going to be in your lineup this week? I guess I should.
I have him in place of Mike Williams at the moment, but with Keenan Allen out, that raises some value there. But I'm still. It's who do I like better, Andy Dalton or banged
up?
Yeah,
or Justin Herbert for sure. Exactly. Because that was probably your thinking of taking Mike Williams out in the first place, is that you weren't sure on the status of.
Yeah, Herbert. Mike Williams with Herbert. He went 1 for 6 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
If there wasn't the touchdown, he would have scored 2 points.
Yeah.
But right now, Olave is consistently getting 10+ targets. He hasn't scored a touchdown, and he's scoring, double digits points.
Right. Without a touchdown, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. So I'm thinking,
he's making big plays is what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think this might be that week. Let's ride the hot hand. I'm facing Chris Alex. Chris Alex is 0-3. Maybe that is the hot hand.
Oh, no.
Let's just keep just keep going with that. He's still scary. I'm still scared to face him every time I face him.
For sure. I mean, other top players in that game, Christian McCaffrey, he had a game. He got 12 points, 108 yards on the ground, 2 receptions, didn't do anything with them, only 7 yards. And, your Panthers defense had a pretty decent outing, but nobody's got him owned in our league, so who cares?
Yeah. Unowned? Yeah, that's fine.
I guess my other question was, should Leonard Shenault be on the waiver wire still?
Yes.
Okay. Or Laviska. Sorry, not
Laviska Shenault. I had drafted him, but I ended up cutting him this year for the rookie draft. He was just on the bubble for me.
Sure.
He's still on my watch list, absolutely.
He was at. Oh yeah. Never mind. Yeah.
He was at the Jags before this.
Okay. I wasn't sure if he was on Carolina the whole time. I thought he had been somewhere else.
Yes, he was on Jacksonville. That's where he started. He just went to Carolina this year. I believe
Okay.
this was his first game starting
It is his
with
first-
Carolina.
Yeah, first game this
So
year.
I think it's still too early.
Okay.
Everyone should be watching. Obviously, he has big playability. That's why he's in this league.
Sure.
As you saw that game, but I mean, with the games, it's all about game script at that point. I mean, you're looking at McCaffrey still soaking up 30 touches out of
Right.
70 plays. Like he is the offense
For
right
sure.
now.
That makes sense.
You know,
Just a question.
no,
Wanted
it's a
to
great
ask.
question. I like it. I'm happy that I could answer it honestly.
Moving on to the Houston-Chicago game. This game I got to, most of us obviously got to watch because it's in region. Chicago won 23-20. We both picked Chicago, so we both got that one right. Yeah, they won, but that was on the back of Khalil Herbert
Yes.
pretty much the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously bad news. David Montgomery got hurt, taken out. He's not playing this week again. But good news is Herbert stepped up and did some work, got us for a win. Because I am worried about the Chicago passing game.
Very worried.
I heard a lot of good things about Justin Fields this year in training camp. Like I feel like I hear every year about every single quarterback we've had.
That's what the preseason's for. It's called hype.
That's what region writers are for. They're gonna hype up their own team.
Right.
But yeah, I'm very worried. I'm worried that Mooney's not getting involved. I'm worried Cole Kmet's not getting involved. I'm worried that they're just not making plays.
That's a tough one. I just dropped Cole Kmet for just
It's all that.
2 nights ago to
It's all
pick
that,
up
yeah.
pick up Likely, who I
Isaiah Likely, I've been wanting. But it's just hard. It's tough again because you're basically just waiting for something to happen to Mark Andrews where he can't play a game.
he's the backup, but he's a perfect taxi squad, right? I know
Yeah,
we're getting off this game real quick, but yeah, with that situation, what I was looking at is yes, he's a great backup. He's easily going to fall into that Mark Andrews role if Mark Andrews, doesn't play
yeah,
a day, 1 week or 2.
yeah.
But after that, in 2 years, so he's going to still be on rookie contract. Mark Andrews on a 4-year contract, but he could be let go after 2.
Oh, okay.
And to take the cap hits and whatever, how all that money stuff works in football.
Right.
So, and he's going to be the one to step up right up in there.
So it's a good taxi stash because this is a dynasty, a
Yeah.
forward thinking.
I mean, Cole Kmet's already starting, but I had 5 tight ends, right? I got to start looking at the future
yeah.
because right now he didn't produce for 2 games.
Cole, yeah.
This game that Chicago won, he finally got his first catch of the season.
Which is in week 3. Come on, it's got to be a little bit sooner than that.
Right. So with all the hype that he was getting tons of hype.
Right. So
But yeah, it was a fun game, back and forth.
yeah,
Did it go to overtime?
No, it did not.
We were talking about if it
Yeah.
would. Like this could go to overtime.
It could. Damian Pierce got his first touchdown of his NFL career. My guy, 20 carries for 80 yards. Not terrible. On 4 yards a carry. I like the 20 carries. I like that stat
Yeah.
a lot.
That's good news for Damian Pierce.
And I like Rex Burkhead's 3 carries because, man, that was starting to make me nervous that Rex was going to, usurp my guy for the lead back role. So, he is still there passing down, obviously. But, again, I am glad to see all those carries.
Pierce could eke into that. And he already has with 2 receptions.
Yeah.
With only, Burkhead only getting 5 targets.
And he had 21 yards for those receptions. Sorry, Adam's playing footsie with me under the table. That was my cat. He pulled off 21 yards with those 2 receptions. So, yeah, I'm liking those numbers. Other than that, though, Justin Fields ended the day with 3 points. Rough. The 5 sacks didn't help. The 2 interceptions sure didn't help. And only completing 8 of 17.
Barely cracking 100 yards with 106.
It's a little scary.
Yeah, you're right. The lone bright spot, is the running squad. Khalil Herbert, he's finished the day with 31.9 points off 20 carries, 157 yards,
Huge.
2 touchdowns.
Oof.
Yeah, with 2 receptions for 12 yards.
Yeah, he went gangbusters.
Yeah,
He's the reason we
he's
won.
going straight into my starting lineup.
Good.
Going up this week.
Good.
Which is gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
Moving right along, a super fun game which I called correctly, I believe.
The KC Indiana game.
KC versus Indiana.
You sure did, buddy.
Indiana eking out the win, 17-20. That was a fun game.
Yeah, there were some calls I didn't really agree with. I believe Kansas City faked a field goal when they were only ahead 17-13. And then after that, at some point, they missed a field goal. So it's like, fellas, are you trying to win a game or are you trying to be fancy? Are you trying to make some highlights? Because you should really just try to win the game.
Well, they did make some highlights, but for having bad special teams.
Yeah.
So those highlights did happen. Points wise, fantasy, it wasn't a spectacular game for anybody.
No, not even Jonathan Taylor.
Nope. Or Patrick Mahomes, Edwards-Helaire, still doing okay stuff. Juju Smith, their top receiver that day, with 5 out of 8 for 89 yards and 1 reception over 40 yards.
Yep.
Versus Indy's top wide receiver Michael Pittman with 8 of 9 for 72 yards.
Yeah. I did note down Jelani Woods, rookie this year, got his first touchdown of his NFL career, and it was the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah,
so
that is awesome. Good for that young man.
he is on Dan's team. That guy needs any more tight ends. But, yeah. I mean, he did it with, 2 out of 3 receptions, only had 13 yards on the day. But, yeah, still, good on him.
But sure hands in the red zone, you gotta
When it
you
counted,
gotta deliver. Yeah, exactly.
that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, other than that, like you like to say, just a good game of football. I mean, nothing crazy except making really weird calls when it comes to field goals.
Just make some field goals, right?
Just kick the ball. Don't fake it, man. Anyways, so we'll move on to the Buffalo-Miami game. Now, we both got this one wrong.
Yeah, and I went so bold as to say Buffalo was gonna go undefeated. Whoopsie!
Somebody heard you.
Oh, I'm just like, well, it's too early to tell, right? But I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, because why not? Yeah, Buffalo lost to Miami. Miami beat them 21-19. My couple of notes, I feel like there was a little bit of bad time management by the Bills towards the end of the game. They had a kind of a dumb 4th and goal call, rather than just taking your field goal. Yeah, the Bills, we talk about, winning or losing games. I don't think the Bills won or lost this game. It was just Miami came back and played better. They just played better than them.
In the next quarter, in the last quarter, they just played better.
Yeah.
Buffalo could have won it. Some bad management. I know their offensive coach up in the stand was not happy. He might be in some trouble after that video.
Well, you saw how quickly, because you and me were watching that game, because
Yes.
it cut to that after the Bears game. And you could see somebody's hand just shoot in front of the camera, but it was too late.
We saw this guy.
It was like 6
freaking
seconds
out.
too late, man. We saw the rage that came out. But again, that was also the game. And it's messed up. Oh, it's actually messed up because I'm just now reading my notes because I did a lot of these notes before yesterday's game, obviously. And in my notes, I put hope Tua is okay. That's a bummer.
I hope he's okay.
Because it was something that was obvious to everybody who saw what happened last Sunday when he did his punch drunk wobble.
Drunken wobble.
Yeah,
He went to his knee a few times.
That's a boxer.
Buddy's holding him up. That's a head injury.
Yeah, it's clear to anybody who saw it. Anybody who doesn't know anything about anything, you look at that and like, oh yeah, he hit his head pretty bad. Like that's something to do with the head. And yeah, so I put hope Tua is okay. Unfortunately, I think I was wrong. I don't think he was okay, and I think that kind of led to what happened last night against the Bengals, but maybe we'll talk about that, or maybe we'll be done talking about it by then.
We'll have more information, hopefully. I think he's going for an MRI today.
Okay.
So we'll get to see what's going on under the hood, so to speak.
But in the Buffalo-Miami game, Josh Allen, obviously, he had a really good game, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he did get hit 4 times, 4 sacks, but he had a 400-yard game. The dude's just, again, king in the north. I buy that. I'm on that train.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Devin Singletary, 9 carries for 13 yards, but then he had the 9 for 11 receptions for 78 yards and a touchdown. So he did his work in the air.
That's huge, and that's great news for Singletary owners.
Yeah.
Being to know that he's that safety blanket that, I mean, especially in PPR. We're half PPR besides for tight ends, but still PPR. That would have been 9 points.
Yeah.
Just in receptions.
Yeah.
And that's really big.
Yeah, and he is on Singletary's on Raul's team. Raul also has Isaiah McKenzie, who also had a fairly decent game. 7 for 9 receptions for 76 yards, and again a touchdown. Had 17.7 in our league. Huge stuff. More than Waddle, more than Tyreek Hill that game. So, I mean, Waddle did have 102 yards. He had a reception for over 40 yards. He got me 15 points. Nothing to turn your nose up out.
Great for Waddle owners, for sure. Another great thing for your team, at least, Chase Edmonds finally got his first touchdown.
He did, but he's still not getting the same amount of carries as Raheem Mostert. He still has 2 less carries than him on the day. But again, I will always take the touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
all right, moving right along.
Yeah.
We have what I called was going to be the highest scoring game of the week. Was close. Maybe the second highest scoring game of the week.
I forget what the highest scoring game. Yeah, what I thought I had it written down.
Baltimore, New England looks like it was the highest scoring game of the week, with 63 points.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So this was 52 points between the two. It was close. I was almost right.
Yeah.
But Detroit nearly giving the game away at the end to Minnesota. A game that I really think they could have won. But they didn't. Detroit lost 24-28 to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams really taking over that game with 20 carries.
Yeah.
Over DeAndre Swift's 7.
And when did DeAndre Swift get injured in that game? Obviously, is that
I
why
think he had an injury designation before the game.
Okay.
There was nothing alluded to him being on a snap count.
Okay.
But you can't blame Dan Campbell for putting him on one.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's out this week.
For sure.
You'd see Williams has got the hot hands. Let's let him go. Let's get Swift, our actual superstar running back, get him a week rest.
Yeah. Get him healthy. Mm-hmm. Managers and coaches take notes. Anyways, yeah, for sure. Minnesota's ground game was, pretty decent too. Dalvin Cook had 96 yards on the ground with a touchdown. He also had a fumble. Alexander Madison, only 28 yards on the ground, but he also had a touchdown. So, spreading out a little bit. And then Nwangawu.
That's a tough one.
I think
I'll let you look that one up.
Okay. He also had some return yards. He had 11 and a half points on the day, all from return yards. So, yeah, Minnesota did some work on the ground. They didn't lean too heavily on Kirk Cousins. He did have 260 with 2 touchdowns. But, Minnesota should have won this game. I don't know why I didn't pick them to win this game.
Did I pick Minnesota over Detroit?
You did. I picked Detroit just because they were scoring a bunch of points, but I forgot Minnesota and what they did last time they played a division game.
They still are.
At home.
They're the second highest scoring team out of week 3 going into week 4.
It's crazy. Detroit has 95 points scored in the first 3 weeks, and Buffalo has 91. So Detroit is outscoring the Bills right now.
If they can shore up their defense, they're going to start winning games.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, so we're on to the Baltimore-New England game. This was a good one. Baltimore won 37-26. This was, I believe, the highest scoring game of the week, like you had mentioned, was 63 points. Devontae Parker showed up, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Surprised he didn't show up earlier, but hey, I'm glad to see him doing some work at his new team in New England.
I think that's wonderful. I've always liked Devontae Parker. He'll be a lot of fun to watch moving forward.
Yeah.
I think he will be pretty stable for Brian Hoyer this week.
Okay.
But they'll probably lean on the running game.
Right, because Mac Jones obviously is out, so...
Right, depending on who they're playing, and they are playing Green Bay this week. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, they're leaning on Ramondre Stevenson and Harris, who, again, Ramondre, he had a touchdown against the Ravens, 73 yards on the ground. Harris, only 41s on the ground, but a touchdown as well. So, I have Stevenson. Chris Alex has Harris. I probably am not going to start Stevenson, even with Brian Hoyer stepping in, and they're probably going to be in the run game because I don't know.
I think Stevenson is starting to eke out Harris.
Yeah.
Harris is probably better in goal line situations.
Right.
So that's a tough one. Yeah, right now it looks like they're evenly splitting touches.
12-11.
Yeah. So
Advantage Stevenson.
Yeah. Well, with 5 more attempts at receiving, so
Yeah.
we're looking at the possible 14 touches to 17 touches.
Mm-hmm.
So, but still, pretty even split on that. Yeah, that's a tough one. One of these days, you might have to start playing Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, one of these days. Is it time to start Devernay? Because I think Johnny is starting Devernay against me this week. I mean, he's been the return guy. He only had 2 receptions last week. One of them was a touchdown, 25 yards. But as the return guy on the Ravens, I mean, I feel like the Ravens team is Lamar Jackson, Devernay, and Andrews. I feel like that's their team.
Yes. I mean, Devernay's only, so for other leagues out there, he's probably not getting points like this. But in our team where there is return yards, points, he is a must-start.
Yeah.
He's
overprojected. Last week, he was projected 12. He got 26. Week 1, he was projected 11. He got 21. I mean, this past week, he was only projected to get 12 again, and he got 17. I mean, he came down from his previous week, but he's still overprojecting.
Right. He is.
I guess it'd be underprojecting, right? Because he's getting more than he's projected, so he's underprojected.
No, he's overprojecting. No. He's scoring over his projection.
Yeah, thank you. That's the best way to say it. Easiest way to say it.
He is scoring over his projection.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he should. He hasn't started him at all, but he's in this week. Tough one against Buffalo. They have a great kicking squad. They don't kick often.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be where we see Devernay come back down to earth.
Yeah.
But they're going to need all the weapons they can get.
Yeah.
Going up against Buffalo this week.
Well, you got Lamar Jackson, who has the 5th highest rushing yards in the league. He's only behind Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Cordell Patterson, and Jonathan Taylor. 5th highest rushing yards.
That is a fun stat.
If you say fun, yeah.
That is a fun stat.
I thought so.
Well, we alluded to that all of preseason before the football started about the running the running situation at Baltimore.
Yeah.
That is just exactly the way it is.
He put another 107 yards on the ground with a touchdown this past week against New England.
Do you think Dobbins coming back is going to
affect Lamar Jackson and how much he runs?
I don't know. He came back. He started last week, but it could be. Well, we might see some things, but
I'm saying this now, and I'll say it to the end of the season. I would not start any Ravens running back. Just don't do it.
Besides for Lamar Jackson.
Right, exactly. Right. You should have that QB/RB designation. But yeah, that's basically all I got for that game.
Awesome. On to Cincinnati.
I'm sorry. I do have to say Mark Andrews, 2 touchdowns, 89 yards, because it's Mark Andrews. I already said
he's so good.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
And,
shame on me for not
God forbid anything happened to Mark Andrews, but
yeah.
I have the backup.
You do have the backup. You're waiting in the wings. But again, just another huge day for Mark Andrews.
You never know.
Yeah. Next up to that, we've got the Cincinnati-New York Jets game. Cincinnati beat the Jets 27-12. We were both rooting for the Jets on that one.
Absolutely.
Maybe I was doing it because maybe me rooting against the Bengals would cause Joe Burrow to have a decent game, and it did.
Sure did. Your little... You picked them for your own little fan service.
No, honestly, I did think that the Jets were going to beat the Bengals because they've been terrible. But Joe Burrow came back, 275 in the air with 3 touchdowns, 2 completions of over 40. One of those touchdowns was over 40. Only 2 sacks, which is the best, is the stat that I'm most excited for. Only 2 sacks in that game. That's good.
That is good. It's good for his health. Good for his throwing arms. Good for his knees.
Yes.
Good overall.
Yeah. So get a little bit more protection on that. I'm very excited for that. Joe Flacco on the other side did not have he had 285 yards. It took him 28 out of 52 completions to do it. Again, the dude is just throwing a ton.
He's just flinging the ball. 52 attempts?
Yeah, 52 attempts.
Good gracious.
But then listening to the, watching the highlights, the crowd starts booing and chanting for for Mike White? That's tough. That's tough. Now, Zach Wilson is starting this week, so it's not Mike White. I don't know why.
Right. Back to normal.
Back to normal, yeah. But, yeah, especially after what Joe Flacco did last week. Yeah, I was very surprised by that. Brees Hall, he's, I guess, finding his footing a little bit more. He's getting some catches in the air as well as his
big
yards
in the
on
reception game. He had thrown to 11 times, caught 6 of them.
Well, yes, because Joe Flacco threw over 50 times, so of
That's
course
true.
he's going to get a
They
bunch
got to go somewhere. When you put it that way, the math does check out.
I mean, heck, Michael Carter only had two balls thrown to him. But yeah, Brees Hall, it's good to see him kind of coming up and finding his footing and getting a little bit more comfortable with this offensive scheme.
Interesting stuff I saw that week is the other Cincinnati wide receivers really stepping it up, and Jamar Chase kind of getting lost in the points. Maybe not on the depth chart, but
Sure.
But he's not scoring like Tyler Boyd or T. Higgins has been scoring.
If he didn't have the touchdown last week, he would have had a poopy day.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Yeah. But yeah, Tyler Boyd, like you said, 26 points. You know, he had a touchdown for over 40 yards. T. Higgins, he had a reception for over 40 yards. You know, he had 93 yards. Boyd had 105. Just, they're good receivers. You're going to start them if you got them.
Absolutely. And people should.
Yeah.
Moving right along, really fun game. It was against 2 0-2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Las Vegas versus Tennessee Titans, with the Tennessee Titans just eking it out, winning 24-22.
We both picked this one wrong. We both had high hopes for the Raiders in their first win.
Yeah. Gosh darn Raiders. What can you do? It's not like they didn't play a bad game. Derek Carr completed 26 of 44 for over 300 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, 2 completions over 40, only 1 sack, but also with 1 interception. Josh Jacobs with 13 carries, 5 for 5 receptions, getting 12 points on fantasy. Really stepping up there. And I'm not sure who this is.
Mac Hollins?
Mac Hollins.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been in the league. This is his 6th year in the league. First time, I've ever said his name.
Yeah, Mac Hollins just got picked up recently. Is that how that works out? Because I see him on Daskell's squad.
Yeah, he's on Daskell.
Big game. Set that up. But really fun. That's cool. I love seeing new
30
names.
points. This guy Hollins, 30 points. He had 158 yards. That's a lot for a guy I've really never even heard of before.
I love seeing new names. That's super fun.
Robert Woods, he had a decent day, 85 yards. Typical Robert Woods. Next week he'll get like 3. But, what are you going to do?
Yeah, because it's going to be a mix between Woods and Treylon Burks with Westbrook, Akine getting in there a little bit. Ryan Tannehill, he's not playing like it's his last year there.
What are we doing with him? Is it his last year there?
Yes.
He's done after this year? Or is he going
contract
somewhere
wise?
else? Oh, okay.
So, I believe so. But, they did draft Malik Willis this past year.
Yeah. Who you have?
Yes, I picked him up with my last pick. But yeah, Ryan Tannehill only doing 19 of 27 for 264 yards. Only 1 sack, though. He had a rushing touchdown. So
yeah, he did.
He's putting in some work, but I don't know. It seems a little lackluster than the past few years,
Sure. Because, the receiver numbers aren't what you want them to be. But you got Derrick Henry, so that helps make up for a lot of it. Mm-hmm. I just felt like the Raiders were really close to their first win, but it just, like you said, they just got eked out.
Just eked out.
Yeah.
Moving right along, we got Philly at Washington.
Yeah.
I should have played the Philly D.
Should have.
That's
played
what it
that
says
Philly
right here in the notes.
D.
And you wrote these notes for
Because we talked about it last week on the podcast. They were available. You talked about maybe picking them up, and you did.
I did pick them up, but I just felt it was going to be a wash. Either I played Philly against Washington, or I played NOLA against Carolina, because I kind of felt Carolina and Washington were on the same par at that time.
Sure.
It didn't work out in my favor.
Yeah.
And that's fantasy
Philly
football.
D had 9 sacks.
Yeah, they just took over that game.
Which is why Carson Wentz could not do anything. Carson Wentz, 25 for 43, only 211 yards. He carried the ball for 22 yards, lost the ball, and got sacked 9 times. That's tough. And I've been praising Carson Wentz and his receiver core for the last 2 weeks. And,
Well,
rough.
when you're on the ground on the turf 9 times, like that gets in your head.
I had said, you should be starting McLaurin, Samuel, and Dotson. And, if you put in any Samuel or Dotson because of what I said, I can't take responsibility for that. That's on you.
They might not say that. They might not
Right.
think it's that way.
Now, I have every right to give you grief for not playing a defense I thought was going to do good, and they did. I have every
Right.
right to do that, but don't come to me and say, hey, you said to
So
do this and I did
you'll
it.
take credit if someone does good when you
Yes.
say they're going to do good, but you won't take credit when you say someone's going to do good and they do bad.
Absolutely not. No, I will not take credit for that. No, that's on you. That's absolutely that. I reserve that right as, as a podcast. I've reserved that right.
Speaking of wide receivers, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown,
Ooh.
really honing it in. Devontae Smith going 8 for 12, 169 yards, a touchdown, and 2 long receptions over 40 yards,
Whoa.
scoring a whopping 32 points.
I mean, I did say Jalen Hurts was the better quarterback, over Carson Wentz. I'm pretty sure that was last
Are you going
week.
to take credit for that?
No, I mean, obviously he's the better quarterback. I mean, obviously. I mean, he had 340 yards,
Yeah,
3
that's really good.
touchdowns.
With only, missing, what is that? He missed 13. He had 13 incompletions.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
That's really good. 9 carries with 20 yards on the ground, taking 3 sacks himself. AJ Brown catching half of his balls, 5 for 10, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the Eagles' running game really wasn't anything. Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders did next to nothing. It was all in the air.
All in the air.
Yeah.
Moving right along, Jacksonville showing up against the Chargers, winning 38-10. Ooh,
Did not see that coming.
What a game!
Ugh. I didn't start Justin Herbert because obviously he was coming off that, rib injury. I mean, he did show up a little bit, though. I mean, he still threw from 297 yards. I mean, he threw a touchdown. He had an interception, a fumble, a sack, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, he still threw. He didn't have the best points, only 22 for our league. But he still showed up a little bit better than Jimmy Garoppolo did, who I chose to start instead of Justin Herbert.
Right.
So, not terrible. Palmer, 99 yards, reception over 40. He had 14 points for Melvin. I don't think he was started, though. The bummer was Mike Williams. Didn't really do anything besides his touchdown. Without that touchdown, you're sitting at 2 points.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah, big bummer there. That's why I'm like, I don't know if I can trust them this week, but we'll see. Like I said, I got a bunch of tinkers to go. James Robinson being a beast like always.
Oof.
Coming off the injury, just coming into the league and being like, you know what? Screw this warm weather in Jacksonville, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, almost a perfect game. He had 3 for 3 receptions for 16 yards. He had exactly 100 yards on the ground with a touchdown. And that touchdown was a plus 40 rushing
It's a
touchdown.
50-yard rushing touchdown. We don't get to see too many of those these days.
You really don't. And, Nick Chubb has the highest rushing and highest attempts. He does not have a plus 40 rushing. His highest rushes, I think, is 36 yards.
Close,
But he's not there.
right? You just don't see that. But dare I say, could we see the change in Jacksonville?
Maybe. Zay Jones had a decent day. Christian Kirk is having a pretty good time coming over from the Cardinals. He's having a decent time in Jacksonville. He had a touchdown this past week.
74 millions of good times.
Yeah. But yeah, Zay Jones, again, he's a guy we probably haven't talked about a whole lot, but he's starting to step up a little bit.
Moved around a little bit. Started off at Buffalo.
Yeah.
I liked him over there, but just didn't work out. Then I think went to Las Vegas, and then now is at Jacksonville.
Gotcha.
Moving right along. Boring game for me. The Rams versus Arizona.
Yeah.
Like it was not much going on there.
Yeah, same thing, man. There's just not. I didn't feel like there was a whole lot to talk about, honestly. I mean, Zach Ertz, he did okay. You got the Dortch. He had 80 yards in the air. Hollywood Brown.
That's the biggest highlight for me in this game.
He had
Marquise
140 in the
Brown.
air.
Yeah, catching 14 of 17 targets.
That's huge.
The guy was getting peppered.
Yeah.
And you just turn around, the ball's covered. So that
Yeah.
is the most this year, and it's the most I've seen in a very long time. Like that's Cooper Kupp doesn't even get that many targets.
Right. That's huge. But yeah, everybody else just kind of middling. You know, I'm not very excited for the Cardinals running back core. I think they were one of my picks. They were a gut pick, just kind of off the wall for Super Bowl. But man, they're not really putting together a whole lot on the ground, it seems like, recently. So
Correct. Well, we'll see what they do this next week.
Mm-hmm.
After that, Atlanta, Seattle. Atlanta eking it out, huh?
Atlanta, Seattle, they did. Now, for this one, we both called Atlanta because we were both kind of getting excited, as we should. Cordell Patterson, he's a good running back.
Yes, the best converted running back I
Yeah.
think we've ever seen
He started as a receiver.
as a receiver returner. So then
That's
was
right.
then like wide receiver, return specialist,
Yeah.
then more of a return specialist, then kind of a wide receiver converted into running back.
Yeah, he had 141 yards on the ground with a touchdown, and one of those runs was over 40. So again, you get those extra points. But yeah, we both called Atlanta. They won. I like Atlanta. I like Marcus Mariota. Didn't really do anything this game. I mean, 13 for 20, 229 yards. He did have a touchdown, but then, you know, he had a fumble loss. He had 3 sacks. He did have a rushing touchdown. I will say that. But, I mean, as far as fantasy-wise, 16 points is, for our league, it's tough. When
That's-
you're looking for like a solid 35 from a
That's what
decent
you want. You
quarterback.
need over 20 from your quarterback
You really
in this
do.
league.
You really
for
do.
Sure.
Geno Smith on the other side of the ball, 325 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns. He had a good game.
Yes.
I mean, he had a good game. You know, I'm just not excited for the Seahawks for some reason. Like at all.
I like it. I really like Gino. We'll see what happens this next week. They're consistently getting done through the air, not so much on the ground.
Yeah. Because you got DJ Metcalf, you've got Tyler Lockett, who, you know, both had pretty solid games this past week.
Right, Marquise Goodwin. You know, they got the stuff, and Gino likes to throw the ball. He's
Yeah.
been in the league a long time, and he likes to throw the ball. So good on Atlanta. Good luck this next week. Up next, Green Bay over Tampa Bay, winning 14-12.
Oof.
It was a defensive game.
Man. My note is Tampa Bay, 2 minutes too late, literally. I mean, they were doing that last 2-minute drive, and they just couldn't get it done. Could not get it done.
Just missed it on the 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
And that was the game for that.
Yeah, again, defensive game. A lot of people are talking about, is this the last time we'll be able to see these two quarterbacks ever play against each other? You know, because people, you know, kind of on their way out of the league, possibly. And, yeah, I mean, neither one had a gangbusters day. Aaron Rodgers had better stats than Tom Brady, as far as fantasy-wise is concerned, even though Tom Brady, you know, threw 31 out of 42 for 271 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, Rodgers was 27 for 35, 255 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Right. It's a pretty even game for them.
Yeah.
What I see recognized the most right now is 2 things: split backfield between A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones.
And that neither one of them did hardly anything.
No, there's a fumble loss and they didn't get any touchdowns. If they both had touchdowns, that's a totally different story.
Sure.
It's like those 2 players you don't want to go up against.
Sure.
Big thing for me, we might see Aaron Rodgers' new favorite target in Doubs. He went 8 for 8, 73 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
You
Another
know,
one of those perfect
the
days.
rookie coming out and really showing up, really being like, "Hey, I'm here to play.
Yeah.
Give me the ball. Let's get this done."
Lazard still had a touchdown, but yeah, it seemed to be Dobbs' day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Russell Gage, obviously, he still did some work. He had 87 yards. He caught 12 out of 13 catches, which is really good. And of course, one of those was a touchdown. But yeah, a big defensive game. After that, let's talk about San Francisco and Denver. Man, oh man.
The punter's paradise game is what I was calling it.
Denver eked it out, and I like using that word for this because 11-10 barely beat out San Francisco. I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo was a completely different quarterback in the second half of the game than he was in the first half of the game. Yeah, and not only did San Francisco lose by a point, but I did as well based off of Jimmy Garoppolo's performance because I had him starting, and I lost by I think 1.3, 1.4 to Dallas.
Very close.
It was the closest game. It was the closest matchup, of our league. But yeah, that was tough. That was a tough beat?
I was trying to find a punting thing that I saw there.
Oh.
And it was an insane amount of punts, but it was super fun. It was a clinic.
Yeah.
It was a clinic. Let's see here. San Francisco punting, 7 punts, averaging 51 yards each. Inside the 20, 3 of them.
Oof.
3 inside the 20s. The long one was for 74 yards.
Inside the 20.
Yes.
Oof.
Hell of a punt.
Nice.
Let me see if I can get Denver side. Oh. Denver side punting 10 times with an average of 47s, but inside the 20 6 times.
Wow.
Yes. So they were.
Wow.
It was a punting game and giving each other bad field advantage, going at it defensively. Like the only parts of the teams that didn't show up was the offenses.
That's one of those fun stats.
Yeah.
That's one of those fun stats. I mean, yeah, Melvin Gordon, 12 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown. I mean, 5 for 6 receptions for 29 yards. But, I mean, other than that, Sutton, almost broke 100. But that's basically it for Denver as far as receiving. And, punting game.
It was a defensive and punty game, and it came down to clock management and Russell Wilson stepping up and doing that final drive to get that win, and then defense stepping up.
But yeah, just not a whole lot to talk about other than that. Mm-hmm. So the last game we've got is the Dallas and New York Giants game, the Monday night game. Dallas won 23-16.
They did it.
They did it. Did not see that coming. We both got that one wrong again. We were hoping the Giants would keep their streak going 3-0, but
they had a chance. I think they gave this game away, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought they had it in the bag. I was looking at it and being like, ooh wee, I'm gonna get another one this week.
Yeah.
But no, they pulled it through, and they pulled it through. It seems to be on the ground, and I guess a little bit in the air. CeeDee Lamb went 8 for 12, 87 yards, and a touchdown, scoring 18 points for Danimal.
Yeah, he did.
Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, splitting carries almost 15-13 respectively.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard not scoring the touchdown. If he did, he'd probably have outscored Elliott in our league.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure. Saquon Barkley, obviously, 14 carries for 81 yards. He had a touchdown, and then he did 4 for 4 receptions for 45 yards for the Giants. Yeah, he had a really good day. I do want to say this. Daniel Jones right now, I have in my notes, not only did he have more rushing yards than Ezekiel Elliott, Daniel Jones had 79 rushing yards to Ezekiel Elliott's 73 rushing yards on the other side of the ball. But Daniel Jones has more rushing yards than Josh Allen on the year.
Wow, that's a fun stat.
Daniel Jones has 125 rushing yards. Josh Allen has 113.
Wow, who would have thought?
Yeah, he's only behind Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts for rushing quarterbacks.
Gotcha.
So he's the third highest, which is, I thought it was that's crazy to me. Like, I didn't think of Daniel Jones as a running quarterback, but there it is.
Before we hit our break, I'd like to go over our weekly report real quick.
Yeah.
We know we dabbled in earlier, but Team Boogie Dangles, Mile High, congratulations with your second week of highest score. You're becoming quite formidable.
Yeah.
At this point. Mm-hmm. With the least efficient manager, me.
Yeah. Now, you could have had the highest, or no, you would have only projected, 203 if you would have played all the right people or something like that?
Yes, I am all over the bench warmers of the week.
Oof.
With 3 of them. I had Khalil Herbert on my taxi squad with 31 points. I had Njoku and the Eagles, 23.9 for Njoku, and the Eagles scoring 34.6 points on my bench.
In your defense, though, you couldn't have known David Montgomery was going to get hurt and that Khalil Herbert was going to handle the rest
This
of the
week,
day.
I do know that.
And you should be starting.
So I'm going to be starting him. Our players of the week, Lamar Jackson, top quarterback, scoring 40 points. Robinson for Jacksonville, running back, scoring 27 points. The best wide receiver in the league this week in our league, 21 points, is Marquise Brown. The golden tight end out there, Mark Andrews, scoring 28 points. Mm-hmm. And the Ravens defense, had I not played the Eagles, scored 26.5
Because those starting ones, there may be somebody else that's higher, but it's on somebody's bench.
Right.
And that still might not even be the bench warmer of the week.
These are the players of the week that
started. That were in a lineup.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
with that, thank you all for listening. We're going to take a quick break,
Yeah.
and we'll be right back.
See you in a few.
And welcome back after the break to Pigskin Isn't Just for Cooking Football Podcast. This is Commissioner with the Dish. Adam Bullock here with Evan Forbes, a.k.a. Kissing Cousins. We are going to jump right on into the Thursday night football review. Just last night.
Just last night. Yep.
And what a game it was. It was a down to the wire game, a little bit back and forth, until
Yeah.
the unfortunate injury.
Yeah. We talked about it. People are going to keep talking about it. The only thing I'll say anymore is that the Dolphins look like they might be in a little bit of trouble now.
Well, maybe. When you look down at it, Teddy Bridgewater did come in and put up an okay game
He did.
after taking center. They were in it until his big, costly interception right at the end there, which turned into Jamar Chase touchdown at the end of that drive, I believe.
Yeah.
But he came out and threw 14 of 23 for 193 yards, one touchdown, a completion over 40 yards, and one carry for 11.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill obviously benefited from him. That 40-yard reception was to Tyreek Hill. He had 160 yards, doing that with 10 out of 14 receptions. He had a monster day. Waddle, kind of middling. He only had 39 yards. Other thing that's jumping out at me is Mostert out touching Edmonds. Now, Edmonds did have that touchdown, and one of the reasons, and it was crazy because one of the reasons I actually played Edmonds was because I was worried about Tua. And again, just like Herbert, it's like, okay, well, if he gets hit, he might not play a full game, which again, he didn't. And I kind of, from reading, knew that Edmonds would be a pretty okay safety net for Bridgewater if he had to come in, which again, he kind of was. He got him a touchdown, but that was about it.
Yeah, Chase Edmonds kind of lit up the second half of the football game, but I saw most of the big rushing plays come from Mostert, for sure.
Yeah. On the other side of the ball, Joe Burrow, he threw 20 for 31, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 2 completions worth over 40, and one of those was a 40-yard plus touchdown to T. Higgins. So obviously T. Higgins and Jamar Chase benefited off of that day. Tyler Boyd didn't really do a whole lot. He did have a reception for over 40, but he only had 23 yards. 47 yards. He had 23 yards. I guess he threw. Tyler Boyd threw. He has 1-for-1 completion. So
Yeah.
I guess he took a snap. Okay, I missed that.
Could have
But,
been a trick play, or
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
it was
Or
it was
couldn't watch
fun.
the
It
whole
was
game.
it was classic in quotation marks of reminiscent of last year's Cincy.
Yeah,
Like they rough couple of games started the season, but man, they really looked informed this game.
this was one of the reasons why I picked them to be a Super Bowl contender was because of games like this and plays like this. But that being said, the boy continues his Thursday night winning streak for
Hey,
predictions.
well done, well done. But contrary to that, since we're getting out of the Thursday night review,
Oof.
I trumped you this week on
did.
predictions.
You did. So it was 7 picks that we did not agree on. One of them being that Thursday night game. And we haven't agreed on a Thursday night game this season yet. We've always picked different teams, which has led to me winning all those. But of the 7 games we picked different teams, I only got the Thursday night game correct.
Hoo-ah! But see, that might change. Well, maybe that was my advantage because you wrote down all yours first, and I picked mine on air. So this time we'll swap that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Where I wrote down all mine 1st, and you're going to go through and pick yours.
Yeah, after maybe based on things we've said this episode, because a few of these this week, man, they were tough. And I've got a little sheet here that shows total points scored by the teams, which is where I'm pulling these Detroit and Baltimore stats, the 99-95. But I had to go to the sheet for some of these picks because it's like I honestly don't know who to pick, but who's been scoring more points over the last 3 weeks. So
Yeah, you go with your numbers. I'm going with the gut.
yeah. So that Thursday game, I took Cincinnati. You took Miami.
I sure did.
I walked away with a win on that
Of
one.
course you did. Undefeated on Thursdays.
Yeah.
That's maybe that's just your thing.
I guess.
But let's start Sunday. Minnesota versus New Orleans. Tough
Yes.
game. And just for you listeners, this is an early morning game in London.
Yeah.
Game starts at 8:30
8:30 Central Time
Central Time.
because that's
So-
where we're in.
So for all you sleepy people out there, wake up.
Yeah, because I was
Check
about
your
to
light ups.
I was about to say Minnesota at New Orleans, but that's not correct. It's Minnesota at London playing
Yes, New Orleans.
So, after last week New Orleans and the fact that, again, Andy Dalton, he is a good quarterback. But, Michael Thomas being out, Alvin Kamara not really doing a whole
Big
lot.
question mark so
yet.
far.
Man.
Well, speaking of Kamara, he did get his sentence pushed further. Not sentence, but review
Yeah.
of sentence.
So
I guess.
there's basically almost 100% chance that there's nothing going to happen to him this
You'll
season.
have him for playoffs
Exactly.
if you make playoffs.
But that being said, I'm picking Minnesota, man. I am picking Minnesota over New Orleans and London.
I agree with that. I have Minnesota picked as well.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a really close game. Both teams are going to be real sleepy playing in London.
Yeah.
But I think just we haven't seen too much of Andy Dalton at New Orleans, so we just don't know.
Or in London.
Or in London. He actually has. That was a fun stat I actually looked up. He actually has a really good record in New Orleans.
Oh, really? Playing across the pond.
Yes, must be the gin in him. He's used to the islands over there.
Oh boy.
But I think Minnesota will just eke it out. It'll be like how they did against Detroit. I think New Orleans will actually be up early,
Yeah.
but Minnesota will,
Okay.
grind it out and take it all.
Okay.
All right, next up for you, Cleveland at Atlanta.
Cleveland at Atlanta. This was a tough one for me. But I am going with Atlanta.
Very fun.
I am going with Atlanta.
Okay, I'm going with Cleveland.
Nice.
I think Brissett had a very commendable game
Yeah.
last game, and they're just gonna chub it in
Yeah.
and
As they've been doing.
chub it in, and which is gonna open up the pass game, and they're gonna have a couple big plays, but I think Cleveland ekes it out. Both teams I think will score in the 20s.
I like everything you're saying, but I like Cordell Patterson. I like what he's been doing. I like the fact that the Falcons are coming off a win last week against the Seahawks. And, the Falcons, they've played, before the Seahawks, they played the Rams and then they played the Saints. So two classically decent defenses. I mean, not classically, but this year they were supposed to be, the better defenses. But Atlanta's still scoring points. They scored 26 against New Orleans. Against the Rams, they scored 27. Last week, they scored 27. So they're scoring points.
Yes.
I like Cordell Patterson. Marcus Mariota seems to be stepping up a little bit. That's why I'm going Atlanta.
Okay. I mean,
And they're playing at home. And I
Sound
love that
reasoning.
home field advantage with
So
something
you're
that close.
sound reasoning. So you're confident that Cordell he's going in the game with a questionable tag. You're confident that he's going to play.
From what I saw, I think it was they got to put a question on him, but everyone's pretty sure he's going to play, I think. Is that what we not said?
Oh,
He's officially. Okay, so he's officially questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, I am still going. Yeah, that's not going to change my pick.
Well, it's too late. You've already picked it.
Oh.
So it's already recorded.
Okay.
Next up, Washington at Dallas.
Yeah, I'm picking Washington, man. I'm on the Washington train, and I can't get off now. I can't.
Okay. Well, you stick with Washington because I'm going with Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
They got the hot hand. They've won 2 in a row. Washington got stuffed by the Eagles, so
They
they
did.
might have something to prove.
And they got stuffed by the Eagles, right? It's a really good defense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they lost to the Lions. They did beat the Jaguars, but the Jaguars held the
Did we say Lions? The Cowboys. Did they lose to the Lions?
who? Washington?
Yeah.
I'm talking about Washington right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said they lost to the Lions.
They did lose to the Lions in week 2.
Oh man, I missed that.
Yeah,
My bad.
27-36.
Sorry,
the Lions beat
I
them.
got confused there for a second.
Yeah,
I thought we
yeah.
were still talking about something else.
Messing
Never mind.
me up. They did beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars held Houston to 0 points last week. Is that right? Or was that 2 weeks ago? I believe the Jaguars held Houston to 0 points. So, yeah, I think Washington has gone up against a couple of tough teams. Yeah, they held the Colts 24-0. So, I like Washington in this game. I think they're going to take Dallas, even though Dallas is playing at home.
All right, bring it on.
I think Carson Wentz is going to have a bounce back game against playing against that tough Eagles D.
It's going to be Dallas over Washington, but we'll see. At around 3:00 on Sunday. Next up, Seattle at Detroit. Tough pick for me. I had a tough time figuring this one out.
I did too, and I went to the numbers. I just straight went to Detroit has the second highest scoring right now in the league with 95 points over 3 weeks. I'm picking Detroit.
Cool. I am picking Seattle.
Nice.
I think.
And that is, I mean, I am nervous about Swift. And
Detroit's missing some
Amon-Ra.
people. Yeah.
That does make me nervous, but I feel like they still got some more options. So yeah.
Very fun. Next up, Tennessee at Indy.
This is a coin toss, man. But purely based on last week and seeing Henry coming back, I mean, he kind of looked like he's coming back into form. I'm picking Tennessee over Indy.
Well, I am Indy all the
Are
way,
you
buddy.
really? That's awesome, dude. We're having all the opposite picks. This is fantastic.
I'm all in on Indy because they're one of my Super Bowl favorites.
I know they are.
And, then they proved to themselves that they could be after taking down Kansas City.
Yeah,
So I think
that's
it's
true.
I think it's full steam ahead. They got this. They have to.
Okay.
Please to God.
Okay.
After this, Chicago at the Giants.
Chicago, baby.
Yeah?
Heck
I'm going
yeah.
Giants on this one.
No.
I don't think they're going to be able to stop Saquon,
Yeah.
and the Giants D will be able to stop the wide receivers. It'll be a running game
Yeah.
through and through.
Well-
I don't think a lot of passing is going to happen, and we're going to see Herbert versus Saquon Barkley, which is going to be fun to watch.
Well, see, that's why I'm picking Chicago is based on Herbert and his performance. And yeah, they are traveling to New York, but yeah, I'm taking the hot hand Chicago, coming off a solid win. I mean, semi-solid. Get your passing game together. My gosh.
Yes. That's tough. Hey, they're still winning games.
They are.
But I think Giants will just eke this one out. That's just me.
Okay.
After this, Jacksonville at Philly.
Eagles.
I choose Eagles as well.
Hey!
I'm putting this down as highest scorer of the week.
Highest scoring. I'm marking it down.
I hope not because I got Philly D. I think I'm going to start him this week. But who knows? I might change my highest score, but right now that's what's sticking out to me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So
I like
don't hold me on that one.
Both on the same page. Both Philly.
Both Philly. After that, we got Jets at Pittsburgh.
Jets at Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yep, Pittsburgh all the way. Agreed. Even with
Zach Wilson is
Wilson
starting.
coming back to the Jets, I just think that Pittsburgh D will be too much for them.
And you're at Pittsburgh. So.
Yes.
Yeah, that was kind of a
After
somewhat
that-
easy one.
You know what? I'm going to change. This will be the highest scoring game. Buffalo versus Baltimore.
That's a very good contender. Yeah, this was one that was actually really tough for me to pick. Obviously, my gut says you go Buffalo because they're a good team. They're coming off a really bad loss. But then again,
That they could have won.
That they could
with
have
better
won.
time, with better game management, they could have won that game.
But Baltimore's a decent team right now. I don't know. I'm still picking Buffalo, just so we're clear. But I almost
Gotcha.
picked Baltimore.
Okay, you're picking Buffalo. My gut says Buffalo, but my heart says Baltimore, and I'm going with Baltimore.
Are you really?
Yes, I absolutely am. It'll be the highest scoring game.
Oh, okay,
It's
so
gonna be
this
fun
is the
to watch.
highest scoring.
Yes, this will be. Change my
Okay.
stuff.
3 stars.
This will be the
I'm
highest
marking
scoring
this.
game. I hope it's not the Philly game because I need Philly to really shut down Jacksonville.
Oh boy.
But we'll see. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers at Houston.
Yeah. Even with Herbert's situation, I think I am still going Chargers. And even with Keenan Allen being out, I am still going Chargers.
This was the toughest one for me,
Really?
I think, because I really want to go Houston.
Right.
But the way, just from the first few games, but last week's game, they did not look good.
Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, neither did the Chargers last week either.
True.
So, but I think the Chargers will eke it out on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Next up, Arizona at Carolina.
This one was tough for me, but I think I'm going Carolina, man.
Very fun because I'm going Arizona.
I don't think Arizona does super well on the road. I think that might have been a stat that I had seen at some point.
Uh-huh.
Maybe. But yeah, I am going Carolina.
They had a big showing last week.
They did.
Against a tough team like New Orleans.
Against the Saints, yeah, they really
Yeah.
did. And yeah. Plus, you're going to have A.J. Green this week for Arizona. The running game for Arizona just hasn't been... I don't know. James
Right.
Conner has been struggling a little bit with injuries and just getting work done.
I think it'll be another big game for Marquise Brown. He's going to be the go-to for sure. We
Yeah.
could see another 17 targets, which is a lot, but I think we could see it again. Yeah, Carolina's going to go up early on this one in my head, but Arizona's always been coming back to win from behind, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they're going to do. Arizona over Carolina.
Okay.
After that, New England at Green Bay.
I'm taking Green Bay.
Agreed.
They've got a lot of receiver options right now. Everybody except for Sammy Watkins is healthy and ready to go.
Yeah. They're finally getting that figured out over there.
Yeah, they won last week against Tampa Bay.
Battle of the Bays.
Back at home. Yeah, they're going to beat New England.
Yeah, New England with Brian Hoyer. I'm not sure
Right.
how that's going to work out.
Exactly.
Tough matchup again. Denver at Las Vegas.
This was tough. And man, I am hoping Vegas gets their first win against, I'm assuming, your Broncos. I'm assuming your
Denver is going for it, but
Russell Wilson and the
yes,
Broncos.
this is going to be a good week for our little competition here.
Well, yeah, we're picking a lot of the opposites. I like this. This is good. But yeah, I mean, because again, Vegas has been scoring points.
Lots of points.
They have. I mean, they're in the top 10, so
Right.
they should be winning games, but they're just not.
Yes, the team that's 0-3 in football is number 10 in highest points scored.
Is it number 10?
And
Did you
yes,
count it out?
it is. It
Oh,
is
okay.
number 10
Okay.
out of all the teams in the most points scored total.
Yeah. So I'm
There's got to be a
rooting for
win
them
around
this
the
week.
corner somewhere.
Yeah, they have to. At one point, I have to be right.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, that makes sense.
Unless they go
But I think
Lions
I-
a la 2011 or whatever year that was.
I just think Denver has still got this one,
All right.
even though it'll be a tough home game
Yeah.
in Las Vegas. Last game of the primetime game on Sunday night, Kansas City at Tampa Bay.
I'm taking Tampa Bay.
Well, you can have Tampa Bay because I'm taking Kansas City.
Are you really?
Yes.
Okay.
Kansas City coming off a tough loss. They fired their backup kicker. They mean business.
Yeah.
And I think that kicks everybody into gear. There's just going to be another Travis Kelce explosion. But Tampa Bay's defense is really good. I think it'll be a close game like the Battle of the Bays last week.
I got 4 words for you.
What's that?
Tom Brady prime time.
Oh,
That's all. I mean, really. And coming off a loss from Green Bay, yeah, I think their Tampa Bay is going to do it. I think this is going to be one of Tom Brady's best games. I mean, I think it's
ever?
no, God no. Oh my God no. But it might be his best game of the season.
Yeah.
It might be his best game of the season.
It could be. He is prime time. But,
Yeah.
4 words for you. Tom Brady, old man.
Ah! That's so good.
We'll see. Last but not least, for our projections, the rematch. They're already rematching the Rams at
Wait,
San
did they play
Francisco.
already?
Yeah, weren't they the first game?
No.
No, that was Bills.
No, it was Rams and
Bills.
Buffalo
Oh,
was
man,
first
am I
game.
I'm going crazy.
Yeah, I'm like,
Don't
what?
mind me.
Rematch? Are you crazy?
I was on vacation. I got vacation brain.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's the best game.
Rams at San Francisco.
Yeah, Rams are winning this one, right?
Well, because I don't know, because I have the 49ers running this one.
Do you really?
I absolutely do, bud.
Why?
Why? Because they are.
Okay.
They're gonna.
Okay. You like Jimmy Garoppolo in primetime, huh?
I mean, he
Because
he
I
studied under Tom Brady forever, so
Yeah,
it could
but-
be there could be some magic there.
For sure.
I think I like the San Francisco D better than what's going on with the Rams offense.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a very defensive game,
Okay.
and San Francisco's just going to eke it out. Just eke it out.
Like I
Just
said,
like how Denver eked it out.
oh yeah,
It's
I
going to
hope
be
not,
like
dude.
that.
I hope.
A
not.
safety might win the damn game.
Well, respectfully, I hope you're very wrong.
I respectfully, I'll respectfully brag about it later.
Yeah. Just so we know, though, right now, as it stands, both me and Adam have picked the correct teams together 13 times. Adam has picked the correct team over my pick 11 times. I've picked, over him 8 times. And we both picked 16 times a losing team together.
We both lost.
Yeah.
That's
So,
tough. Our record's not the best.
it's not, but I like it. This honestly is my favorite part of this.
Well, I mean, if we split, that means I'm 11-8 and you're 8-8.
I'm just saying this is a reason why, take everything I say with a serious grain because
right.
obviously I can't predict nothing.
This is just predictions. We're not wizards or
Yeah.
we're not rolling D20 over here. Got it. But before we sign out for our podcast, we'd like to go over an update on all of our waiver wire moves.
Yeah, our guys out there, they're making some moves.
People
Everybody's
are
done
making
something.
moves.
Yeah.
I know we did this week on our very first podcast.
I think so.
So I think it's about time that we revisit. From that last time, we have Raul and Daskell at 21 moves in our league.
Yeah, they're tied. Daskell snuck up on Raul there. 21 moves. I like
Daskell
it.
moving up, making the moves.
And I can't remember. Did Daskell was he this active on the waiver wire like last year or the previous years?
I'm not 100% sure. I know I had a trade with him last year by this point. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, this used to be Melvin's title back in the day. But, Melvin's still in third with 11 moves.
Yeah. He's,
Fu-
yeah, nothing. Yeah, he's still doing work. He's still doing his research. But yeah, 11 moves. Come on, man, step it up.
Yes. And after that, we got Chris Alex with 10,
Yeah.
Johnny with 8, Forbes yourself at 5,
Yeah.
myself with 4 moves, Mile High and Dan at 3 moves, and Beetle way down at the bottom with 1 move, getting that tight end
Got
that we
him.
talked about for 2 weeks.
Got him.
Right when Kittle came back.
I saw Beetle today actually.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, he was driving by me in the car. We were going opposite ways on Route 10.
Did you guys lock eyes?
Yeah,
and,
we
like-
waved. Gave him a little wave.
Oh, that's nice.
I was going to pick up the kid. I think he was coming back from work or something.
That's awesome. That's good. I'm glad he's out there in the ether somewhere.
Yeah, doing work, winning games.
Winning games.
He
well,
is
he
winning.
winning? Did he win?
I don't know.
Yes.
But he's got a monster team, so
Well, when they show up, everybody has a monster team.
that's a fact. Actually, Beetle is 0-3 right now, so he is not winning games.
That's what I thought. I thought we had a couple 0-3s there. Well, when you don't have players playing in your starting lineup. That's
Yeah.
just
Well, now
what
I guess I will. Since we're in this section, we got just a couple more minutes. I will give a shout out to Johnny. He is 3-0 in our league right now. The only 3-0 in our league.
He's gonna
So,
love that.
Yeah.
That shout out. He always loves a good shout out.
But I'm playing him this week, so hopefully I can take him down.
And with that, I hope everything's okay with his house down
Please,
there in Florida after the hurricane that's been going on.
Please let everything be
And
okay.
drive safe home, bud. And with that,
Yeah.
thank you all for listening. We will talk to you on, the message boards throughout real life. And be safe out there. This is Adam Bullock, your commissioner with the dish, a.k.a. Just Bob Rossnett. Happy trees, happy clouds, everybody.
Casey Cousins. We'll talk to you guys next week.